haired, blue-eyed Jesus. That's not the Messiah, that's marketing. You've seen the image floating around. Golden hair, soft blue eyes, porcelain skin. But let me tell you something that they did not teach you in Sunday school. That version of Jesus, it isn't the Bible. It's from Renaissance Europe. And it wasn't about religion. It was about control. If you make God look like you, it's easier to justify dominating others. White Jesus was a tool of empire, and it worked. Jesus was a Middle East Jew, born in Bethlehem, raised in Nazareth. You think folks in that region 2,000 years ago looked like Brad Pitt? This is not about race. It's about truth. Truth isn't always comfortable. It's always necessary.
People find out that the person that they pray to and call their savior and think that he's coming back, wait until they find out that he was actually a person. Just remember, anytime you see the elites or whatever you want to call them trying to make us hate a specific person or thing, it's really just because that's the most powerful thing. They do everything in their power to make us hate black people. That's because these people are so powerful. These people have been here forever. White people did not pop up until about 5,000 years ago. Now, there's gonna be quite a few of white people that are gonna be mad at this because y'all think everything is about you, but I'm here to tell you that it's not. And it never was. Think about it. I don't know where the fuck white people came from, to be honest, but we are not meant to be in the sun. Like how, black people are from Earth. They have been here a long ass time, bro. The sun loves them. The sun hates white people, okay? I'm just being honest. Part of that has to do with wearing sunscreen and sunglasses, but that's for a whole nother video. All of those ancient people from ancient Kemet, ancient Egypt, those were, ever notice how the nose are always chopped off on those ancient structures? That's because they don't want us to know the truth. I'm not gonna say too much about this photo because I don't want my video to get taken down again. But I mean, y'all see what's going on. A lot of things we've just been lied to, y'all. Pretty much everything is the opposite of what you think it is. There's a reason they want to divide black people. It's because black people are the most connected. They are very, very, very talented at singing, dancing, athletics, you name it. So many things are designed to limit them. I think that black women are the most powerful people on the planet because the number two things that the elites, whatever you want to call them, that they hate the most is women and black people. So there you have it, black women. Those are the people that we need to be listening to. Those are the leaders of the new earth. And I'm not saying other women aren't powerful, but there's just something about an enlightened black woman who is embodying her gifts that is just so powerful, y'all.
Is God black? Let's unpack it. And not with emotion, with facts, history, and a little theology. First, in Genesis, it said that God created man in his own image. But what did his image look like? Geography speaking, the Garden of Eden is believed to be, by many scholars, to have been in Africa or in the Middle East, the cradle of civilization in East Africa. So the first humans, most likely, dark skin. Let's go deeper. In ancient Egypt, Ethiopian and early Christians, gods, angels, and prophets were often depicted as black or brown skin, not European features. Depictions came centuries before European colonization and reshaped the visual narrative. That's not the Bible. That's branding. That's not the Western art. That's colonization. That's a Western art. That's colonization. He's not a skin tone. But when people ask this question, they're really asking, does my culture or my skin, my history, have a place in the image of God? The answer is yes. Drop your comments below respectfully. Let's have a grown conversation. Before you get mad, ask yourself why this challenges you. This is what TikTok is for. It's for us to unite, to talk, and to celebrate each other. Y'all have a great day.
The reason it matters that Jesus is black, yeah, I know what you're saying. It doesn't matter. It matters, bro.
let me tell you something. This is the truth of the matter. The black community and the black people globally, not only in Europe, but also in Africa, the black community has always been taught not to know about themselves. And the history of the black community was hidden, and therefore they were taught how to pass, or like how to see things in a different perspective and how to understand things in a different perspective. The truth of the matter is that even today as we are talking, there are people and young men who are growing up knowing that Jesus is black. Yeah, especially the upcoming generation and the younger generation that is growing up, they know very well Jesus is white. That is what they know. And the reasons why they know Jesus is white is because we were taught that Jesus is white. When we were growing up, we came out and realized that we even had some pictures of Jesus Christ, which were the white Jesus, painted white everywhere in everything, wherever we go. And we used to see people representing, especially the Roman Catholic Church, representing or presenting out a color of Jesus or pictures of Jesus, which is a white Jesus. And people learned, people knew, people understood that Jesus is white. Even the children's, you could ask them a question, especially when we were growing. Anytime anybody would come to us and ask us a question about Jesus or the color of Jesus, we would confidently say that he is white, because that is what had been portrayed and that is what had been displayed. And therefore, that is what we understood. It wasn't our mistake, but we grew up knowing that. So it was very difficult, and even today, it becomes difficult sometimes for those people who have not been able to be exposed and know the truth. It is very difficult for you to convince them about the black Jesus. Yeah, they will confidently come to you and confirm about the white Jesus. Okay, but right now as we are talking, the truth is here. And when we didn't know our time, when we did not know about the black Jesus, when we didn't know the true history, we used to accept the fact that he is white. But now the problem is, when white people now, the truth is out, they don't want to accept the fact that Jesus was black. Okay, and it touches, when we're talking about the fact that the Europeans do not want to accept about the black Jesus. This one touches the history, culture, religion, and power. Okay, and these are the things that are really affecting them, from them wanting to accept the fact that Jesus is black. Okay, now I want us to have this conversation and this discussion, but before we get deep and break down into this discussion, I want you to take a look at these videos, then we'll come back and do what we do always later. If it's your first time to be here, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. I will really appreciate.
He stole an entire identity from these people. There was a race that was chosen by God, okay? When God was playing this Sims game, he chose a black character, okay? Because that most closely related and identified with his personality. He wanted to be humble. He wanted to come as a meek person. Bro, the entire Bible is a redemptive story about black people. From going from last to they're gonna be first, bro. It's the entire Bible is like the redemption of a race that was being used for slavery since the beginning of time. Think about this. This is why black people are superior to white people. This is why they can run faster. They have harder heads. This is why they can jump higher. They're the chosen race of God. It's so in your face, dude. The Egyptians with the cornrow hair, and now where are all our Egyptian people, bro? I don't have any Egyptian friends. I've never met an Egyptian dude. It's like they just disappeared, dude. What happened to that whole race of people? It's black people, okay? When you read the Bible, the reason it doesn't make sense to you is because you're not replacing the word Jew or Hebrew with black person. Black people, you have the most sacred, beautiful position. You have the biggest shoes to fill. I am so sorry for everything. You'll all see when we get up there. You'll see when we get up there and Juicy J is playing, okay? You'll be like, oh, oops, crazy dude on TikTok was right. It's everywhere in history. White people whitewash history wherever we go. We take that for ourselves. Bro, the Egyptians had electricity, okay? The Luxor, the Black Pyramid that shoots up light into the sky. What do you think that's about, dude? They had electricity, dude. The Nile had all the elements for batteries and electricity, like the copper and the salt water and the limestone and everything. Look up the Djed Towers, dude. Anyway, Jesus is black and he's coming back.
My guy. You are most definitely wrong, because if it didn't matter, it wouldn't have been written. So a lot of people would like to know, what color is Jesus? What color is God's spirit? So let's talk about it. And before I get started, please understand that this is not about the color, but it's about the truth. Yes, the Messiah was a black man, and God made his son in his image. God says in the Bible that his spirit is the color of jasper, sardine stone. In Revelation, it says his head and his hairs were white like wool. This is the color of white woolly hair. Who the only ones with woolly hair that stand out from the rest of the people? Black people. It said his feet was unto the color of fine brass, burnt in a furnace. Now this picture is the color of fine brass burnt in a furnace. Extremely black. The Messiah was a very, very dark man. And I know a lot of y'all like to say, no, he's Middle Eastern. So if y'all believe that he's Middle Eastern, then y'all should know that the Middle East was a part of Africa, right? Full of black people, dark black people. Wait, but y'all love to say, no, he's an olive skin color. Well, let me tell you something. I only know 2 different color olives, the green olive and the dark black olive. So tell me which one it is. There's pictures from the 13th century of a black Messiah and black saints. To be honest, almost everybody in the Bible was black, and a lot of them had locks. That's why I'm kind of glad that a lot of us are coming back to our roots. A lot of us are starting to get locks, because it's really a part of who we are. So the Messiah had hair like wool that was as white as snow. He was the color of fine brass burnt in a furnace. He was from the Middle East, which back in those times was Northeast Africa. So I don't know who this man is, or what agenda they trying to put out. Even if they didn't believe that the Messiah was black, the least they could have did was make the hair white, make the eyes red. Like I don't know who they thought they was fooling with that image. Like, that's the true deception of Christ. Most of those people in the Bible was blacker than coal. And a lot of them would tell you that their skin is black upon them. And please understand that this is not racist. It's the truth. And all I want to do is wake my people up to who they really are. Because we are more important than y'all ever know.
Jesus was most likely considered a black man. This is based on the Sephardic DNA in the Middle Eastern area, which connects Sephardic Jews to the Hebrew people more than Ashkenazi Jews. Jesus, as described in Revelations, having bronze feet, meaning darker skin complexion, and woolly hair would mean that he was more so a Moorish or African descendant person in modern day terms. But that doesn't mean he is from Africa, and it doesn't mean he was dark-skinned black.
The reason why black and brown people suffer is because this world worships the antichrist. This is not the real Messiah. This is a false Messiah. Masih Dajjal. This is the real Messiah of Nazareth. His name was Isu in Old Greek, Isa in Arabic. He was Hebrew. He spoke Hebrew, just like his mother Mary. Hebrews are nomadic people that today are described as black African. His story and teaching is known as the Gospel or Injil. When he passed away, a long and slow satanic process of whitewash started. The Romans who persecuted Isu started unaliving his Hebrew followers, destroying and burning the Temple of Jerusalem. Then after hundreds of years, the Romans started using his story as a way to glorify themselves. First, they changed the language from Hebrew to Greek. Then they Greekified all the names from Isu to Isus to Jesus. Then they started tampering with the Gospels, removing verses, adding verses that glorified the Romans, such as, "We crucified the Messiah." No, you Romans didn't crucify the Messiah. Then they started burning versions of the gospel that they disagree with. They started persecuting and unaliving the Gnostics and the Arians and anyone who disagreed with them. And under Emperor Constantine, white supremacy was born when they made the execution tool the symbol of the teaching of the Messiah. In hoc signo vinces, in this sign you shall conquer. And the false Christ was born, and the story of the real Messiah became legend. Until today, 1,700 years later, where the whole world is under the rule of the antichrist, every nation looks up to the Western man as the moral standard for what is right. But these are the last days.
And yet another image of your Pope in front of our black King, Jesus, Jesus. And it's not Yeshua, guys. That's the Hebrews have messed y'all up with that name. I'm going to do a whole new video on that. Jesus. Jesus. It's your Messiah. I understand waking up from the Matrix is not an easy thing to do. We've been lied to our entire life. We've been psyoped and misled about everything. Every book has been rewritten. Every painting has been repainted. Things have been buried. Things have been moved. All in an effort to deceive us. It is truly my belief that Tartaria was the 1,000-year reign of Christ. And it's been covered up, never talked about, and it's just now coming out because, as the Bible says, there's nothing that is buried that will not be uncovered. The truth is coming out slowly, but we're starting to get more and more puzzle pieces of the timeline that we're living in right now. Satan didn't want us to know the timeline we were in. He wanted us to think that we were heading into destruction and evil, where that's their end game. We, the meek of the earth, are about to inherit it because the new heaven and the new earth are coming in. There's a Christ consciousness that's coming in, causing an awakening on a massive scale around the whole world. I'm just one vessel that the Holy Spirit works through to bring the truth to you. So I understand this is very hard to wrap your mind around because of the religious dogmas we've been sold since we were children. But I'm trying to bring the truth to you as softly as I can, because there's going to be a lot of information coming out in the future that is going to be mind-blowing for a lot of people, and they're going to have to absorb it in a very short period of time. So I'm trying to soften that blow for you guys and let you know that we've been deceived. So I'm here to teach you also what Jesus taught you, not what church teaches you, religion, or the Vatican, because they're lying to you. Jesus called them liars, hypocrites, vipers, told them that their father was the devil, the father of all lies. He's been a murderer and a liar since the beginning. He didn't like the church leaders of his day, and they haven't changed very much because they're still preaching the same doctrine. And I'm here to break the matrix for you guys.
Seriously, lovely.
When somebody tells you Jesus is black and you say, color doesn't matter, or I don't care if he was blue, black, green, or purple, it's a form of self-hatred. You have a self-loathing personality. Okay, and let me explain what I mean when I say that. When somebody tells you Christ is black and you immediately jump to that answer, that's because you can't see yourself being better than who you are. If you understood that Christ was black, you would not have hatred towards your own brother and sister. You would not want to kill, steal, disrespect the next brother or sister because you don't see Christ in them. That's why you do it. If you understood that Christ was black like you would not be wearing wigs all day, sisters. If you understood Christ looked like you, brother, you would not disrespect the next man just because he stepped on your shoe by accident. You would not want to kill him because of that. You would understand like, oh, okay, let me just, let me talk to him. Let me explain some things. Let me have a conversation with this brother. You don't see Christ in one another. That's why y'all disrespect each other. Y'all don't see Christ in one another. That's why you will go down to the abortion clinic and kill that baby before it's even born. You understand what I'm saying? So knowing that Christ is black is very key, because if you knew that, you would treat each other with the utmost respect instead of treating the opposite people with all the respect in the world and looking at your brothers and sisters like the scum of the earth. Self-hatred is a symptom of various mental health disorders. Think about it.
Now, maybe you're asking yourself, how did we got to know about the white Jesus? And why is it that the white Jesus got into our minds and to the minds of the young generation? Why did we grow up knowing that the Jesus that we know is a white Jesus and not black Jesus before we understood and before we came across the history? Now, when we come to the historical roots of white Jesus, the white Jesus that the Europeans are talking about, and this white Jesus that we've always known in years. When Christianity spread in Europe, starting in the Roman Empire, artists began painting Jesus in their own image, European features and pale skin and light hair. Okay, so over countries, these images became the default Jesus in Europe culture, and even though Jesus historically lived in the Middle East and would have looked more like a man from a region, brown skin and dark hair, you get. So if he was living in the Middle East, then it means he was supposed to have a different color. But right now, because the Christianity started from there, now these people began painting the image of Jesus. And they were painting the image of Jesus in according to how they look like. Therefore, they presented to us a Jesus look like them, because Christianity began from that zone or from that area. Number two, you have colonialism and power. When you come to colonialism and power, during colonial times, Europeans spread Christianity worldwide, presenting a white Jesus, reinforced the idea that Europeans were closer to God, chosen or superior. So we lived knowing that Europeans were closer to God. They were the chosen generation, because when they came with the gospel, when they were spreading the gospel to the entire world, when they came to us, they tried to convince us, and we were looking and we were accepting everything they were saying, because how they were presenting themselves, we felt like we are less superior compared to them, and therefore we got convinced that Jesus must have looked like them when he was still here, because if they are the chosen one and if they are the ones who are closer to God than how we are, then it means they definitely, or Jesus definitely, must have been looking like them. Okay? Accepting a black or a non-European Jesus would challenge the racial hierarchies and that were used to justify slavery and colonization. When they came, they justified colonization. And when they justified colonization, they used the word, they used the Bible, they used the fact that they were closer to Jesus Christ, closer to God, and they were more superior and even the chosen one. And therefore, if they would have accepted the black Jesus, or non-European Jesus, it means we wouldn't have listened to them. So it was some kind of a manipulation that they came up with. Yeah, they made Jesus white. They said they're the ones who were looking like Jesus, and therefore we had to believe in them. So they used that a trick because they wanted us to believe that what they were doing was good and what they were doing was better. And that is why I say every day, the Bible is not bad, and the words written in the Bible are not bad words. But now, how they used to interpret, and how they used to reveal every single word as it says, it was very much different from what it really means. Okay. Number 3, we have a psychological attachment. For many Europeans, the image of a white Jesus is tied deeply to culture, tradition, and identity. Changing that image feels like a threat to their worldview. Okay, so it's just a religion. It's just religion, but also art, monuments, films, and education that reinforce this picture. Okay, yeah, you see, when even the films of Jesus Christ was being portrayed, we used to see Jesus Christ who is white. And even in our schools here in Africa, when we were going to school, we saw white Jesus. We saw only white people acting the movies of Jesus Christ, and we felt like, oh, so Jesus is white, and that is what we knew all the years. And I think that is also what they always wanted. So resistance to a black Jesus. A black Jesus symbolizes equality, inclusion, and a rejection of white supremacy. Okay, so some people fear the acknowledging a black or a historically accurate Jesus would undermine countries of religion authority built on the Eurocentric image. Okay. They don't want to accept the black Jesus because they know if they accept the black Jesus, it means the colonization or the indirect colonization that is still going on in Africa will not be going on. If they accept the black Jesus, white supremacy will no longer be there, because if they accept the black Jesus, they feel like they will be showing us we are greater than them, and therefore we shall resist what and everything they are doing to us. Okay, they don't to acknowledge a black Jesus because it will undermine their countries. They feel like it will undermine their countries and their religious authority and all that. So they would rather stick to the white Jesus, who is the false one, and do not agree and accept and follow the white Jesus, who is the real one. Okay, so current shifts are there because you find out that scholars, churches, and some Christians today are re-examining Jesus' real roots as a Jewish man from the Middle East. Okay, so black theology and liberation theology emphasizes identifying with a black Jesus as a way of confronting oppression. So in short, many Europeans resist that idea of black Jesus not because of historical facts, but because of countries of cultural conditioning, racial politics, and fear of the losing dominance. They don't want to lose dominance. They don't want to be less superior. They want to always be superior. That is why they keep on advertising the white Jesus. That is why they keep on telling us they're the ones who are chosen and they're the ones who are closer to God. But the truth is that we understood, and we as black people, we were sold the narrative of the white Jesus through the images, through the videos, the films, through the stories and all that. So we knew we were having a white Jesus all along, until we came and attached ourselves to the real history and the real roots of the white Jesus. That time when we were being sold about the narrative of the white Jesus, we accepted the fact. We expect also the white people to accept the fact when now the real truth is on the ground. Tell me what you think on the comment section. I'll do my best to make sure I read and give a comments where possible. Welcome back to the Black Empire. Thanks for watching.